I know what you're all thinking right now. With moves like that, how is Dancing with the Stars not contacted this woman? Well, luckily, Midwest Speakers Bureau did, and she asked if I'd come here and inject you with some Olympic-style inspirations. The goal by my end of my talk is to have you all on your feet cheering with excitement. Does that sound good? All right, well, no good Olympic-style performance starts without an audience wave, where we stand up, throw our arms in the air, and we have a ripple effect across the room. Are we ready? On my count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, not exactly as I envisioned it, but things don't always turn out exactly as we envision them, and it doesn't mean that we still can't reach our goals. And setting big goals was something that started for me when I was a very young girl. I saw Nadia Comaneci score a perfect 10 in gymnastics. I ran into my living room, put some tables and chairs together, stood on top of my own podium, and told my parents I'm going to win the Olympics someday. And they said, do you know what it means to win the Olympics? And I said, no, but I know it means being the best in the world. And they never told me it wasn't possible, never laughed at me, even when I fell off the back of this podium. But they sat me down and told me about a philosophy for success, and they told me that to be successful, I had to be like a turtle. And they called it the turtle effect. They said you have to be soft on the inside, you have to have a hard shell, and you have to be willing to stick your neck out. And throughout my career, I realized to have a soft inside, I need passion for what I do. In order to have a hard shell, I need focus and the ability to overcome adversity. And in order to stick my neck out, I had to take a risk, and I needed the teamwork to make sure I followed through. And today, I'd like to share with you parts of how I was able to go out there and achieve that Olympic medal by finding my turtle. And along the way, give you the tips, tools, anecdotes, and stories to help you achieve whatever your ultimate goal is. Well, as I said, that passion started as a young girl, and I grew up in gymnastics, but it wasn't until I was 18 years old that I found the sport of aerial freestyle skiing. And despite being afraid of heights, I fell in love with aerials. And it was something that was so exhilarating to me, and it always pushed me to have that drive to move forward. And with this drive and this passion, I qualified for my first Olympic Games in 1994, and I was ranked 3rd in the world, so I knew that I could do well. And after the first jump in semifinals, I ended up in 1st place. Well, 12 people would go on to finals, and so I knew that I had to have a good second jump. But after that 1st place finish, I went up to the TV cameras and said, USA is #1. Started dancing in front of the cameras, started thinking I could be on Leno and Letterman. They'd have parades for me when I get home. I could be on the cover of a Wheaties box. With all this extra excitement, I went back to the top of the hill, down the hill, off the jump, 2 flips, 2 full twists, came around for my landing, and I realized I was still 3 feet off the snow. My skis skidded past the landing. I came back up, came to a stop at the bottom of the hill, and quickly found out that I was in 13th place, missing finals by 0.57. And it was devastating. And I had to go watch a Ukrainian girl go stand on top of the podium, and I realized that I don't like the Ukrainian national anthem. But I realized how important it was to have the focus. I also realized that you don't want to do the butter churning dance unless you're on top of the Olympic podium. Although I have a 16-year-old daughter that says, Mom, there is never a time or place for that dance. But I did have to have that focus, and I couldn't be distracted by everything going on around me. And I'd like to take you through an activity that I wish that I'd learned at my first Olympic Games. So I'm going to have everyone stand up, and we're going to start with a goal. And we, of course, want to take and build these turtles, and we want to have them reach the sky. So we're going to chant the words, when turtles fly, success won't pass me by. And we're going to continually chant this, and then I am going to add layers and layers onto that. So are we ready? When turtles fly, success won't pass me by. When turtles fly, with one hand, I want you to tap with your head, the other hand going in a circle. Now switch hands. Now what I call the rodeo cowboy, though Zach may think a little differently on this. And then after you do it 3 times, do a full turn. Every 3 times and a full turn. Keep going. And then we're going to see how many Frisbees we can get in the air at the same time. So if you get a Frisbee, grab it, throw it back off, and we're going to keep them going around the room to see how many we can get in the air at one time. And then you know that there is always the distraction of knowing that you could go viral tomorrow. All right, you can throw the frisbees off to the side there. Okay, who can tell me what the goal was? The goal was to chant the words, "When turtles fly, success won't pass me by." And what happens as we add more and more layers on? It disappears, right? And this is what happens in our lives. We get so pulled in by all the things that are either embarrassing or exciting, and we forget to look towards our goals and remember what our goal is. And you can't put blinders up because that could be a frisbee at the side of your head. And this could be representative of a sick child at home, or a parent that's in crisis, or a fire that you have to put out at work. So we have to make sure that we're looking forward towards our goals, but in our periphery, keep the things in our life that are most important to us. By doing this, I came back the next year, and I won the year-long tour, I won the World Championships, and I was on the podium every single contest that year. I thought I'd take this momentum right into the next Olympic Games. But I learned that you can have all the focus you want, but that hard shell isn't complete without the ability to overcome adversities. And adversity came for me the very next year. I found myself in second place to a girl named Veronica Brenner from Canada, and I wanted to be able to pull ahead of her. And 3/4 of the way through the year, Veronica didn't make it to finals, so it was my chance to be able to pull ahead of her. But also as that year was progressing, I had a muscle spasm in my lower back that wouldn't go away. I went up to take my first jump, and it felt like someone stabbed me in my lower back. I landed the jump, skied the bottom of the hill, collapsed. Our physical therapist came over to me and said, "There's 5 minutes left of training, what do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to jump." And he literally had to pick me up onto my feet since I couldn't bend forward in order to stand up. I went back to the top of the hill, and this time with tears streaming down my face, I went and took another jump. And this time when I hit the peak of the jump, it felt like I had 10 knives stabbing me in my lower back. And it's a type of pain that would normally drop someone to their knees, and I was 35 feet in the air upside down with skis on. I don't know how, but I got around to my feet, collapsed on impact, slid to the bottom of the hill, and couldn't move more than 2 inches in any direction. And I went home and saw doctor upon doctor upon doctor. And each of the doctors told me that the injury I had wasn't a muscle spasm. It was something called internal disc disruption. And I basically ruined 2 of the discs in my lower back. And every single one of the 10 doctors I saw said, "Nikki, you're going to have to face it. You're done with the sport of aerials. You will not be able to handle that impact." And I was devastated, and I started to fall into a deep depression. And one day I was looking through a magazine, and in it was a quote by General George S. Patton that said, "Success is how high you bounce after you hit rock bottom." And I asked myself, and I ask you, if success is how high you bounce after you hit rock bottom, do you want to have a soft outer shell, or do you want a hard outer shell? And I would take the Super Ball with me. Every day I would go to the gym, and I would bounce that Super Ball as that visual reminder that I could bounce back, I could come back from this as long as I kept that hard shell. Because I had a doctor that told me I could come back from this injury if I built up the muscles in my back to support those injured discs, but I could blow out the disc completely myself. And so I decided to take that risk, and I was going out there, and I was able to come back just 1 year before the Olympic Games. I got to my second Olympics, and this time I qualified for finals, and after the first round, I was in first place. I knew I couldn't be thinking about the Lenos and Lettermans and Wheaties boxes at this point. I had to be thinking about my second jump. I went back to the top of the hill, and the winds had picked up to 50 miles an hour. And when you're 50 feet in the air, that's the last thing you want to be thinking about, especially someone who is afraid of heights. And my coach said to me, "We have 2 options. We can do an easier jump, a jump you know how to do, or you could go for the triple backflip. You've probably only landed about 20% of them this year, but if you do land it, you could win the contest." And I looked at my coach and I said, "The gold medal doesn't go to the conservative." When I was growing up, my grandmother said to me, "The brave do not live forever, but the cautious do not live at all." I wanted to make sure that I was going out there and I was living. And so I decided I was going to go for that triple backflip. And I had 3 minutes that I had to wait for the wind to calm down. And in those 3 minutes, I had to block out the 40,000 people at the bottom of the hill, block out the flags that were sitting sideways because the wind was so strong, block out that I was too slow on my last 2 speed checks, testing my speed before I was taking my jump, block out the cameras that were 6 inches from my face, and I swore they could see my heart pounding out of my chest, and block out the fact that these next few moments could literally change my life. And I looked over and I saw my coach give me a clear sign, meaning it's ready to take this second jump. I quickly skated off to give myself a little more speed. I got into a tuck so the wind wouldn't slow me up, stood up before the jump, threw my arms in the air with a straight position on the first rotation, pulled my knees in for a tuck on the second rotation, elongated my body and did a full twist on the last rotation, came around, landed it, and I had gone so fast into this jump and launched so high in the air that when I came around for landing, I felt like a grand piano had landed on my shoulders and my knees accordioned into my chest. And I had to use all the strength in my legs and injured back to stand up and ski down the hill. And then that's when the dance came in. I ran over. I was so excited to hug my boyfriend. My parents were standing there. And I looked up, and the next two athletes to go dropped below my name on the scoreboard. And there was one more athlete to go from China. And I thought back to that little freckle-faced, pigtail girl who made her own Olympic podium. And I knew that I was on the edge, the threshold of going out there and achieving history for America as the first medal in the sport of aerial skiing. And I realized that I wouldn't be here in this moment without my parents who had always pushed me and always believed in me. And I'd like to turn now to a clip from the Olympic Games to see what happened in that final jump. And you can tell me if I'm the only one who won this gold medal or if there's someone else who helped win it right along with me.
193.00. She's in first place.
The Stones made their way down to see their daughter, knowing she was assured of at least a silver medal. But the last jumper to compete was also the one with the best chance to overtake Nikki's score, China's Nan Zhu.
Nan Zhu can do it. She's done that score before.
We'll sit back, watch this final competitor, and try to enjoy it.
Nan Zhu needs a huge jump here to pull ahead of Nikki Stone. She needs to hit next to a flawless jump. She chooses a double twisting double, flawless in the air, a little back on the landing. She may not have overcome Nikki Stone's score. That landing may have cost her the gold.
When the scores came in, the results were easy to decipher by Dick and Nancy's reaction. What can you possibly be going through right now?
I'm just thinking of the American flag raising and the anthem playing for her. I'm going to lose it on that one.
Nancy, you don't believe it, huh?
So I'll let you in on the secret. The first interview I did, they asked me how it felt to win the Olympic Games, and the only words I could get out is, "I'm just so happy, I'm just so happy, I'm just so happy." So you see, I get the thrill of the moment interviewing skills from my mom. But really, I knew that medal was within my grasp with their support, and there really is no secret or magic to finding a support system. The secret lies in recognizing that we all need it. And I have a few items that I've put in your gift bags: a Super Ball, a bookmark, and a gold card. And come talk to me afterwards, and I'll tell you how Muhammad Ali told me to keep that gold card with me. But really, these items are helped share with you so that you can go out there and achieve what your dreams are. And I'm so confident at this group's success that we're going to try that audience wave one more time. And this time, we've learned it's important to have preparation. So we're going to start on this side of the room. We're going to slowly stand up, throw our arms in the air, and then sit back down. But don't stand up until the person next to you is about halfway up. And I hear a shout as it comes across the room. So we ready? On my count of 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Woo! Give yourselves a round of applause. And as I promised, by the end of my talk, I'd have you all on your feet cheering with excitement. I wish you all lots of luck in achieving whatever your gold medal may be.